come with me as we build wealth and try and figure out why at this point we feel tight with $460,000 a year. So we make roughly $460,000 a year across our W-2 income and RSUs that invest a part of our job. So our monthly take home is roughly $23,000. But once you take into consideration the expenses that we have, it starts to just really eat in there. So I'm going to ignore this cash flow split for now because it's not really important. But our assets are this. So our primary home is a condo that we own. We bought it for $480,000. It's at $600,000 now, roughly, in value. And then also I bought a property with my family, which I own a third of. We bought it at $1.4 million. It is now worth $2 million. So I am responsible for $667,000 per year. Our 401ks, we have $550,000 combined. We have a cash position of $36,000. That's our savings. We consider that our emergency savings. You can ignore the brokerage piece of that right now because I think it's double counting the cash at this point. But with us, I am 34, he's 37. This is what our financial profile looks like today. Liabilities wise, as I said, the reason this is why we feel tight. Our mortgage, our primary one we're paying, it's roughly $3,700 a month. The other mortgage that I cover with my family, it's roughly $1,770 a month. And then I have student loans, which I'm not paying right now, would eat into, it would maybe be about like $500 per month if I was paying it, but it's on the SAVE plan. I have government loans, so it's not being paid right now. It's on freeze. That interest will accrue, but when it does start, I will pay the minimum. I'm not going to be paying off my student loans that quickly. It may be wrong. If you have suggestions there, let me know. But that's another fixed expense that we're working through right now, or just, considering and trying to figure out. A lot of this is trying to figure it out. There's so many moving parts. It's so frustrating that, it feels like we've done a lot of good things right, but there's always, it's like playing whack-a-mole. There's always something else. We are paying off my husband's loans at $30,000. He has only $30,000 in debt, and likes to remind me of that. Because I tried to get him to go to grad school, and like I did, I paid off my undergrad loans, but my grad loans got to $150 with my 2-year vacation in grad school. So I'm very actually glad that he did not go to grad school for that reason, because we would have much more debt if he did. And then we have a car loan at $425 per month that we probably have 2 or 3 years left to pay. So yes, we could get rid of these liabilities. We have weighed the options and the strategies to do so. We are taking care of the mortgages, some of the student loans, and the car loan. Could we use some of our savings to do that, or the lump sums that we get in the form of bonuses per year to do that? Yes, but we had an emergency last year where we had to rebuild our savings, so weren't able to do that. Or, also there's living life. And I feel like that's the one thing that gets lost a lot of times, is that there's still living life. Like, you don't want your whole life to be about paying bills. You want to be able to go on vacation. I will say we don't have any credit card debt, so that's great. But this is what it looks like for us. And we talk about it a lot, of just feeling like we're overly responsible. We're always being responsible. We're not enjoying life. And that's just, to me, it's not worth it. To us, it's not worth it. Where I'd rather be dropping the ball on one of these and being able to travel and not waiting until 59 and a half in retirement to decide I want to take a random trip to a place that requires a lot of walking and I can't walk. To me, that's not living life. Like, everything's not about money and really being responsible. So trying to find that balance, and this is sort of the journey that we're on, and I want to share with you. And then also want to encourage people to do exactly kind of what we're doing, is trying to find what your balance looks like, and then doing something about saving, because saving and investing is a way to financial freedom. It's not to say that you shouldn't. You got to be some version of responsible. So just keeping you accountable, keeping ourselves accountable. That's why we created this channel, to go over it. So yes, on paper, net worth looks great. But cash flow is tight because we're being responsible. We have a lot of money going to our mortgages and living. Okay, so we just went over what our financial situation is. I want to now go over what our plan is. So in order to continue to build wealth while still living our lives, this is what we're doing. So yes, layer one, what we have here is we have our W-2 income. That is our foundation. We will always have our W-2 jobs. We are not going to quit our W-2 jobs. We're going to contribute 15% toward our 401ks, and that will help us lower our adjustable gross income, AGI, and help us build toward retirement while still not killing us financially. So we will also contribute to a dependent care FSA that's helpful for daycare, so you can write off those expenses, and then that's helpful from a tax perspective as well. So our paychecks are taxed the heaviest, so we push as much as possible into those pre-tax accounts to make sure that we can lower our AGI. After that, and let me say, there are a number of other things that you can do. We just don't do them because, again, we don't have enough money to at this point. And also, so you could do an HSA, you can do an IRA, you can put more into an after-tax 401k. We contribute to pre-tax 401ks, but the reason that we're not contributing to after-tax 401ks and HSAs and IRAs is, one, they're long-term, and that's great, but we also want to have some liquidity in the short term too. So you actually want to put more into brokerages or our personal brokerage accounts. So that's just our strategy. Could be wrong. I'm happy to hear and talk about it in the comments, but that is something that we're doing because locking it all up until 59 and a half and not being able to touch it or retire early if we want to, or use it toward other things when that money can't really be touched without penalty, is not something we're fully interested in. So that's something we're working through. The second layer from the research that we've done in chatting with family members and chatting with people in the space, financial advisors, etc., is that we have a business entity that helps with, I don't want to call it tax loopholes, but that's what AI called it. So that's them, not us. Is having a business that you can have write-offs on, right? So you rent your home. One thing you can do that we've learned is that you can use the Augusta rule. So you can rent your home to your S corp for up to 14 days. That's completely legal, and can be a 14K deduction. So that's tax-free money. It's not money that you're losing from your business. It's not money that you're losing personally. It's just being funneled, and that is 14K deduction that you can add on top. That number can vary because it doesn't have to be $1,000 for those per day for those 14 days. It really depends on whatever that amount is to rent your home to your businesses in your specific city. So it could be more, it could be less. That's something you have to look into. But you can have that Augusta rule and use your primary residence 14 days a year to do a write-off for your business. So even if that's just something to consider, I'll leave that there. You can have your home office deduction. So that's internet, phone, utilities. That helps with your business. You want to be making money on your business. That's something that the IRS is going to be looking at there, even if it's just a tiny bit of money. But that's something that you will want to consider, and the Augusta rule helps you get there. There's other ways. Obviously, you can have your side hustle actually doing other things as well. We have our YouTube channel. We have a consulting business. So again, doing all these things that are helping with write-offs and also helping generate more cash, and really trying to do things that, aren't gonna, again, going back to it's great to be responsible, but you also want to make sure that you're not being overly responsible so you're not enjoying your life. This is something we have to do anyways. We want to be accountable and held accountable to doing it. We want to help other people be accountable, and that's why we created this channel. The consulting stuff we do, we enjoy doing it. So try and find something that is a side hustle that you can do consistently, that you can kind of go forward with. So, in plain English here, our businesses is where we get our deductions. Our W-2s aren't where we get our deductions as much, or it's just in a different way, I guess. But this helps save on taxes as well. Our brokerage. So again, for us, we don't want to funnel all this money into long-term investments like 401ks where you can't, specifically 401ks where you can't touch it until 59 and a half. And so for us, we're looking to find a way to build our SBLOC. And that is basically being able to borrow against your stock portfolio, your brokerage account. So it's called a securities backed line of credit. So we are looking to build that to as little as 250, at the minimum of 250,000, to unlock being able to borrow up to 40% tax free and not sell our assets to invest. So that is something that we are doing, and we will invest in things like very safe investments, index funds, VTI, etc., to get to the $250,000 amount, so that we don't have to go and take out very high interest rate loans going forward. We don't have to sell our investments. We can keep our investments and allow them to grow and just borrow against them, and then repay that amount later. So again, a wealth hack that we generationally haven't taken advantage of, our parents didn't take advantage of, but we're looking to take advantage of. If we're missing something, again, I see this as a point of feedback. Let us know. Let us help us figure out where we are missing something. But this is a goal of ours. So we'll auto invest probably more like $200 per week into these index funds, to get to that as minimum 250,000, to start being able to grow our investments and never have to sell them, but just to borrow against them going forward. So this is considered our investment sandbox. Once it grows, we can borrow against it without selling and then paying taxes on selling them, which we've had to do in the past, which sucks. Or borrowing against our 401k, which actually has, a max a ceiling you can even borrow against, but that's another option as well. And then our fourth layer is real estate. So those are our tangible assets. We have, again, like I said, our $600,000 home. When we move, we will refinance it before moving. You want to do that because then you can then pull out money, or be saving money and contribute toward that next home or something else. We're going to convert that to a rental, and then from there there'll be a deduction. So that will be under a business. We're going to switch that to landlord insurance, put it under an LLC. If we decide to sell it, it will be under a 1031 exchange later on. So that is something that we'll look at, but hopefully we'll never have to sell it, and we'll just continue to buy other assets. If it makes sense to. I know that, sometimes it does make sense to buy something else and sort of level up. So maybe it's, right now we have this condo, but maybe we buy something that has more doors, right? So you buy a bigger property and you're renting to more people. So that will act as a write-off too, and long-term income for us. And then the last layer, which, we've been taught to consider and we want to share with you, is estate and protection. So you want to protect your assets legally, right? So having a trust. We have a trust. I have a trust already. I need to continue to put my assets under a trust. There's some things that we need to fix there. We can have a video on what that process looks like and work through that. And then having umbrella liability insurance with having rental property, because this is a very litigious country. We want to be able to have protection in the case that we get sued or something happens, right? Okay, so the last one, 2026 estate sunset, is actually not relevant anymore because with Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act, it was eliminated. So you can ignore that for now. But again, you want to protect all the things that you're building. So you want to put that within an estate, a trust. You don't want to have things in your name is what this boils down to. All right, so our plan of action for the next 30 days, is to move 20K of our savings into a high yield savings account. It's stupid that we don't do that now. It's just procrastination. And then moving 10K into a money market fund, and then keep 6K invested. So that will be our plan there. We're going to confirm our 401ks are at 15% each. That's already been done. We're going to be setting up a $200 a week brokerage auto transfer so that we're building our personal brokerage account, which we can then borrow against once we hit that 250,000. When we get bonuses and RSUs, we may just put lump sums into that to get there faster. And then we're going to be doing an Augusta rule rental agreement. So in the next 14 days, we're going to allow the business to then borrow money, borrow money to rent our personal residence for 14 days. We'll track our office and internet and phone expenses. We need a system for doing this, so we're going to figure out what's the best software to use. If you have suggestions, let us know. We'll keep paying student loans, at least his, because I think it's not that his are private, it's that he's not under the safe plan, so his are actually due right now. Mine are on freeze. And we'll keep paying our other expenses for now. Eventually we'll get the insurance quotes. We don't need them right now because we're not planning on moving anytime soon. And then we need to figure out putting our other assets under the rate, or just not having them in our names. So we'll be talking to an estate attorney about that. Again, we don't need to worry about the 2026 sunset because that is now not relevant under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So that is the end of this video, and what our plan is given our financial situation. Would love to learn more about things that you think that we should be doing better, and to help you where it makes sense to help you just be more accountable, and they take into consideration, or help you take into consideration things that we're looking at or things you should be considering, and just help you invest more. That's our goal, is to have 1 million people doing better with their financial lives and investing money so that they can get to financial freedom. So we'll see you in the next video where we go into more detail and share more information that we've been given. We don't want to gatekeep anything. We want to share all the stuff that our families have told us and that other people have told us. So we'll see you next time.